This is the harbor management meeting on Tuesday, January 10th. And we have Kim and Brian and Jeff on by phone. This is Jack Hirschler, and Bill Perugini is not with us today. Who did I miss? Jeff Stedman is not with us today. Jeff is not.
She's not here.
Okay.
And yeah. Jeff Engborg.
And Jeff Engborg is on the line. Harbor Master Emeritus Pat Carroll is on the line as well. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, the first item on our agenda is a report from the Harbor Master. I included some things following on the agenda here that you might also cover, but just to make sure we didn't omit them. Mr. Harbor Master.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To report, I think I jinxed myself at the last meeting when I said it's the quiet time of the year in December, right before renewals, and we'll get to that in a moment under the post-storm issues. But as to the mooring renewals, things have been going well. The notices went out in a timely manner. One little glitch with the system, but I run a manual backup of the lists, the assignment list as well as the waiting list, the day before the renewals go out to make sure that we have a hard copy. The system dropped the last 4 names on the renewal list. It deleted them. They didn't disappear. They just went into another canceled category. So I reached out to online. We put them right back. Everything is fine.
These are waitlist renewals?
Waitlist renewals. The last 4 names. I think the system didn't update itself fast enough. But anyways, that was resolved. One individual had a problem on his waitlist renewal because the dollar amount was $1,000 as opposed to $10. I can't replicate it. I think that he may have done that himself. He insists he didn't, but no one else has that problem. So I corrected it back to 10. I'm not sure how he was able to do that, but that's been corrected. But as to the renewals of the vessels with moorings, 18 of them have been fully renewed. 58 of them have not submitted documentation yet. 4 have submitted documentation but incomplete. Specifically, they've not made the payment. They may be sending in checks, but they've submitted the other documents. The system, I've kept the safe boating certificates from last year. They're going to be perpetually there because they never expire, so there's no need for that. I have to tell you, for the 18 people or the 22 people that have submitted documents, it's been flawless so far with the system. Everyone has gotten used to how to do it. They listened to my reminder last year. They keep copies of their current registration because it doesn't expire until April. So that's fine. This way, that's enough to get your renewal because that is the valid registration and you have your valid insurance. Once they get new registrations, they'll upload it during the year. So next year, they'll be ready to go. So that's it. So it looks like it's working much better this year with people, a lot less problems. Of the wait list, more people have taken care of that. Of the 85, 51 people have already sent in their $10 and renewed themselves. I have 2 people on the wait list pending because they didn't send the $10 in online. They may be sending checks. So we're moving along. It's not, the first reminder has not gone out yet. So that's good. The first one we received was 4:20 in the morning on New Year's Day, and the latest was just a few minutes before I left my office.
Wow.
So that's it's actually the system is working just fine. No issues with that at all.
So they're going to get reminders automatically in
twice
a few days, right?
Yep. I think I've got it set for the 15th to go out if I'm not mistaken. Yes, a few days. And they get a hard copy. I sent everyone a hard email because I can email the group. I sent them one like on the 30th, I believe, telling them to watch out for the renewal. So I can email people that way directly as well.
Looks like we're doing pretty well with people with docked vessels as well.
Yeah, docked vessels is my project for this year. I've got a good handle on it from last year. And this year I'm going to finish making sure I have all the docked vessels and the records accurate for the boats in the harbor. I've been just patrolling around there last year trying to get a handle on it. So we're good with that.
Good.
So how I jinxed myself, I indicated it was the quiet month of December between boats out in November and renewals on January 1st when we had the Christmas storm come. And as you know, the high water caused damage to Lower Wharf. Specifically, it took out the access to the pier, and I believe did some damage to the fishing pier itself. So I coordinated with the Fairfield Police and Public Works, and it was taken out the following week, right after Christmas, by Public Works, and has been removed. We also had the one vessel in the harbor who is sailing this winter ran aground on New Year's Day coming in. So I spoke to the operator right after it happened and went out the following day, a week ago Monday. The Yacht Club was kind enough to allow us to use one of the vessels with one of their personnel, and Jack and I went out with the old-fashioned tape measure and weight and checked. Luckily, it was a nice day. We checked the channel coming in at the spots we knew would be typically low, and they looked the same. We checked again along the jetty, and it looks like it's narrow, but we've known it's as narrow as it was. The issue appears to be the vessel, as I suspected, was, I think, confused coming in without the slow signs and went too close. And I went out there again on, what day is this? Last weekend on Saturday at very low tide with the dog, and we walked along the jetty on the outside again, looking at the depths visually, and it looks the same. I mean, it's getting close, but it's the same as it was. We also had opportunity when Jack and I were out there with the boat. We stopped for a while at the Lower Wharf to take a look at it at dead low tide from the water side. And some of you may have seen the pictures that Jack took. There's a lot of damage. You know, the cross pieces between the pilings on the fishing pier are virtually all destroyed and broken off. Some of the pilings are crooked. There appears to be what I think is a little tilt. Whether it was there or not, I don't know. It doesn't look to me, the non-engineer, that we need to have an engineer look at it. I spoke to Bill Hurley, the town engineer, last Wednesday about that. He's going to take a look at it, and I think Jack is going to talk about Race getting out there as well to look at it, whether it should stay like this for now. Just there's no way to get to it. The fishermen are going to be unhappy, I know, because there's also no way to fish. It's in the way of casting from shore there, unfortunately, which is the bad news. I'm not sure we can put a temporary ramp. We're going to have the experts. They'll have to look at that and decide whether a new ramp can or should be fixed from the Lower Wharf, whether that pier is, in fact, safe to be on. Race raised concerns in November, and we weren't sure whether it would have to be closed. This made the easy decision to close it, but we'll have to have the engineers tell us, is it safe or not? That is... and I have a mooring inspection. I'm going to meet Travis Thursday of this week and do a mooring inspection since they're on shore and go through everything with him. And other than that...
what section gets inspected?
This is... the one that's getting inspected this year is the Helix area.
The Helix, okay.
Yeah. But all the other ones are out, so we go through those and look just for anything, but check them as well. But, that's where we are.
I believe Race is going to go down tomorrow to the Lower Wharf and look to see if our permit application needs to be changed in any way.
Jack and I looked, and there were some boulders on the corner that they just didn't look right.
Right.
And you could see in the photograph that behind the pilings there was a whole chunk that looked like substantial pieces of rock on the wall were no longer there. The question is that storm related, or was it like that for who knows how long?
I would think we would have noticed.
It was sort of hidden underneath it, so maybe people weren't focused there, but it doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good.
And a lot of the sand is missing from that beach area. I know frequently I go there, and you could step right from the Lower Wharf down just, less than 8 inches during the summer to walk. All that sand is now missing, and it's just rocks left there from the storm.
Right.
Okay. So I think we've addressed the post-storm channel depth check issues. Jeff, Warren, do you have any questions about the report beyond what we talked about?
No questions.
Okay. Mooring location vacancies. So we have a little bit of movement of vessels, and then we have potentially vacancies to think about.
Yeah, I've not... we have one I don't know if I have any vacancies that I know of yet. I know that we have 2 vessels that need to, that have asked to be moved. One is a gentleman's getting a bigger boat, and we have a way to move him because last year, as you know, we put the power boat with the inflatable hulls closest to the Pequot Ideal dock.
Right.
So I think I'm just going to swap the 2 boats, and that would work for them. Another gentleman next to Mr. French's boat in Resolution has asked to go to a bigger 49-foot sailboat. I told him I don't know if we're going to have the spot for that, and to let me know if he's serious about going. So if we have a spot, I'll then talk to him as to whether he needs it this year or not. He was talking about trading the boat with another gentleman, doing a swap of boats, basically. And other than that, I'm not sure yet. I'll probably know in the next week or 2 who may not be coming back.
Okay. And we have one riparian person on the waiting list.
Correct.
We have one commercial fisherman.
Yes,
Okay.
we still have him.
And then we would get into appropriate vessels for anything else that might become available sequentially.
Our commercial fisherman is in.
Right, I got it.
Yeah.
Right, so he's going to stay in.
He's
continue to
submitted fish reports for the fall season, yes.
Okay.
And we'll stay on him to make sure he remains a commercial fisherman.
Right. And I think we talked in our last meeting, the riparian rights applicant is following our updated rules, a legit riparian rights.
And I'll confirm that before we offer anything.
Right, but just by virtue of where they are. in the
Correct.
harbor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess on the next item, Parks and Rec Department invoice, I can report that the invoice went to Parks and Rec Department, and I was copied on an email within the administration of the town where it looks like things are moving forward with guidance for Parks and Rec to make the payment to the 102 account for the moorings on Perry Green that are administered by Parks and Rec Department. So that's in the works.
Good.
So we have to remember on a go-forward basis that has to happen every year.
Refresh my recollection, are we getting just a mooring fee, or are we getting a mooring fee and a tackle? Just the mooring fee?
We're just getting a tackle fee.
Just a tackle fee?
Right.
Okay.
Right, because there was nothing documented beyond that.
Yeah.
All right, and then the last item I have for today is just the question about the Deputy Harbor Master search update, and Mr. Perugini wasn't able to join us today, so I don't know.
I did talk to him earlier today. I indicated that he was having trouble accessing the last meeting, the red line of the job description that I made over the summer. So I sent him that after the meeting, and he called about that because he still could not find his version. And I told him I think my version is the last version. I took what you folks had, tweaked it a little bit for deputy, and gave it back. So he was going to take a look at that again
Today, okay.
today and get that out.
So maybe next week we'll get an update on that.
Hopefully we'll have an update. I mean, there are people who are interested, and you know, this would be the time of year
Right,
where they could be learning.
Right.
It would be kind of, so hopefully we'll have an update next week.
okay, good.
The only other thing we should think about at some point is whether the commission wants to get an electronic device to measure the depths of the harbor. Because, you know, we go old school. This is 3 times now we've done it
Right.
since I've been appointed, standing there with a weight on a string, bobbing it on the bottom. And, you know, we may want to consider getting whether it's a fish finder sonar thing with the depth. Because it's going to come up again, even with the moorings, I would think.
I understand that Garmin makes something for about $50. You get a screen,
And it goes overboard, right?
and something goes overboard.
Right.
And
That would be ideal, because we're doing, you know, Jack and I are doing the best we can.
Right.
And when I'm out there alone, it's even harder, because I got to jump from the
Oh, it's
steering wheel
crazy.
to the bow. and
George's pole and...
George gave me
A red
12-foot pole. I look like a gondola pilot on the side of the harbor. Try not to drop the pole in the water or drop their tape measure in the water, and, you know, or get it tangled up in the engine.
I guess I would say, why don't you look into
I'll look
options for
into
that?
it, because I thought about that.
I would
I
be
don't see
supportive
why
of that.
not.
You know,
Yeah.
it seems like an essential...
Even for people's moorings, when they say something's wrong with the line,
Exactly.
it's so easy for us just to routinely go and check things.
Right.
what looks like it's happening out there.
Does Jeff Engborg have any ideas about that? Does he have something that he uses, or, no?
Jeff?
I think they do.
Sorry, I was muted there. We use various things. The pole works best for us, and we also are continually working there, so we know we pretty much know where the depths are.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is more in the channel.
I'm
going
really
out.
worried about the channel. 'Cause
Right.
If it's going to be shoaling, or if they're going to start doing dredging, and we want to keep an eye on them,
Right.
and say you didn't dredge that right, or you missed a spot, or
Right.
It was relatively calm when George was just guiding us out there, and still there was plenty of current, and we
Yeah.
were trying to get the boat stopped so that we could get the pole in without it
Right.
getting pulled away, so.
I'll look at that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I had seen that there was because I was thinking about it for my day sailor who doesn't have any electronics, whether I should be carrying something that says that also.
George can hit you with a pole.
Right. George will loan me his red pole.
But there absolutely is something,
And a
because
little,
we were just reading about it at
Yeah.
home not too long ago,
Yeah.
so.
I'll look at that, yeah.
Yeah,
That would be ideal.
That would be
Take out
great.
anywhere with us. And
right.
Yeah, this sounds like it might be an ongoing issue for us.
I'm afraid of it
Well-
with shoaling and with, it's not going to get any better, and it's,
And if the other issue is that beyond the country club bump, we know that it's filling in, and we know it's very narrow, and, we also know from the Army Corps of Engineers that it's gonna be at least a year and a half from the moment they decide that they're gonna do it until it gets done. So it could be a significant amount of waterway there that needs to be identified, the depth needs to be identified.
Yeah. The takeaway for me on that little outing that we had that afternoon was how close to the sandbank near the golf course pool area, how close a boat can go with a fair bit of draft. I never, when I was sailing in, never got that close to it, but folks could benefit from knowing that there's some decent depth on that what is that, the east side
Yeah.
of that channel right
Yeah.
there. You'd never imagine that you're
It's
6 or 8 feet away from a sandbank, and yet there's plenty of water
at
there.
that point there is, and then it goes, you've got to pull back out again.
Right.
Remember, that makes that jog,
Right,
the wall.
right. But just in the steepest part, there's plenty of water right close to the
It's an
shore there.
amazing amount of water.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons we don't want the kids swimming there, people swimming,
Right.
because why it's so dangerous,
Right.
it's steep, you may not be able to get out,
And
or
current, right,
you're going to go right in, and there's
Right.
a current that rips by there.
right,
So.
right.
Oh, and and there were some swimmers too. There was an article in the paper, before I forget.
Right.
New Year's Day. Apparently there's a polar bear plunge that occurs in the harbor on New Year's Day. And not just in the harbor, people were jumping off by the flagpole off the rocks into the water to climb back up the rocks. So I'm going to reach out to them and tell them that that's just not going to be allowed in the harbor. That's very dangerous. It's one thing to wade into the water, where, your body, medically, if you hit the water and go into shock, you can go under and aspirate the water in very easily if you don't react to it. So I think if they're going to do this, they should either wade in from a beach, or that they have the fire department there and available to them if someone can't get out and someone needs to go in, because they have no safety equipment now whatsoever. And let's not have an accident with
Well,
someone
could we
just
even
diving
get the fire department to come if the chapter 24 of the town code says there shall be no swimming in the harbor?
in. Right, well, that's the question. Do we want to? That's a good
Yeah.
point. There should be no swimming. So it's just not safe. If you looked at the pictures in the newspaper, if you
Yeah.
saw that the
Yes.
photos that were submitted, they were jumping off the rocks and trying to climb up.
Better off at Southport Beach where it's shallow.
And if something happens, it's much easier to for a rescue, because if you go into shock, your head's not going to go under because you're standing,
Right.
which is medically.
Speaking of safety issues, did you want to mention about the boat ramp mud?
Yeah. So I told you, I think I told some of the folks that I personally stepped into the mud off the dinghy dock when I couldn't get the dinghy in one day this summer at an astronomical low tide to where I keep it, and realized that it's not a hard ground like one would expect at the beach. I went up to my waist basically in mud and had to work my way to shore. We got a complaint by a gentleman who from another out of town came in October, I think, with a kayak, and the same thing happened. He got out at the dinghy. Instead of trying to go all the way to shore with the dinghy, he got out in waist-deep water, basically, for whatever reason, thinking he can just walk in, and sunk up to his waist by the ramp as well. So it's that same area. So I have a note to have the town put up a sign, caution, soft bottom or something to that effect.
I, in response to the fellow on the kayak who went up to his waist, I responded with a note to Anthony Calabrese and to Justin Cathcart and said a sign might be nice. So they're kind of on notice that.
I could talk to Justin and just tell him what we want. He got us a nice sign last summer within a week with the one at the end of the breakwater faded, the speed limit.
Right.
And we just, we went just to Public Works and it was very efficient. He did a great job helping us out there.
Right.
I'm sure we can get a sign, caution, soft bottom,
or don't get out of your boat if you're not at a dock. Or on the ramp.
No swimming or wading, caution.
Yeah.
No swimming or
No, I mean, that mud is
dangerous.
Yeah, it's deeper than it looks. It looks like it's beach sand where you would get out at the beach and walk, but it's muck.
Yeah, to say nothing of what might be in it, just in terms of stuff that could cut and scratch.
There's a chance there would be nobody else there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. You can get stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
So any comments from the public? Those are the items we had on today's agenda. Anyone? All right, I think that's it.
No, I have none. With respect to the January 1st jumping off the rocks at the boatyard, it's been going on for years, and I just wonder if they have a permit from Parks Department to conduct that activity. As Brian said, it's a matter of safety, particularly jumping off the rocks at off the area of the flagpole. God Almighty, anything could happen. So I think Brian's comments are well taken.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.